Discipline is more important than motivation. The story of Daniel. A journey of discipline. Daniel was like most people. He had big dreams but struggled to stay consistent. Ever since he was young, he had wanted to be a writer. He would sit in his room, imagining the books he would publish, the readers who would be inspired by his words, and the satisfaction of seeing his name on a bestseller list. But there was one problem. He only wrote when he felt motivated. Some days, inspiration struck like lightning, and he would write for hours, losing himself in the beauty of storytelling. But most days, he felt nothing. He would stare at the blank page, waiting for motivation to return. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, yet his novel remained unfinished. One day, Daniel met an old friend, Michael, who had become a successful entrepreneur. Over coffee, Daniel shared his frustration. "I want to be a writer, but I can't seem to stay motivated. Some days I feel inspired, but most days I don't," Daniel confessed. Michael smiled and asked, "What if I told you that motivation is not the key to success?" Daniel frowned. "Then what is?" "Discipline," Michael said. "Motivation is like a spark. It comes and goes. But discipline is the fire that keeps burning, even when there's no spark. You can't rely on motivation because it's unreliable. You need a system, a habit, a commitment to doing the work even when you don't feel like it." Daniel had never thought of it that way. He always believed that successful people were simply more motivated than others. But what if they were just more disciplined? Determined to change, Daniel made a plan. He set a simple rule: write for 1 hour every morning, no matter what. Whether he felt inspired or not, whether his words were good or bad, he would sit down and write. The first struggles. The first week was hard. The first day, he was excited, but by the third day, he felt resistance. The voice in his head whispered, "You're tired. You're not inspired today. Skip it just this once." But Daniel ignored the voice and wrote anyway. Some days, the words flowed effortlessly. Other days, every sentence felt like a battle. But he kept showing up. Weeks passed, and something amazing happened. Writing became easier. He no longer waited for motivation. He simply followed his routine. His mind adjusted to the habit, and soon, writing became as natural as brushing his teeth. One day, after months of disciplined effort, he finished his novel. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Something he had only dreamed of for years was now in his hands. The lesson of discipline. Looking back, Daniel realized that the difference between his past failures and his recent success was not motivation. It was discipline. He had trained himself to work, even when he didn't feel like it. Years later, when his book became a bestseller, people would ask him, "How do you stay so motivated?" He would smile and say, "I don't. I stay disciplined." And that made all the difference.